Manchester United are 3-point collectors again after a massive 2-1 win against Crystal Palace, which now sees us move third into the Premier League table, a position that I don't think anybody would have predicted us to be in at the beginning of the season. And yet, the goalposts are still being shifted. People are not putting respect on Michael Carrick's name because every single week I get told every team that we're playing is going to be the big test. Every team we're playing is going to be the big, spooky, scary fixture that we're finally going to drop points in. And again, that was disproven today. Granted, that first half an hour was probably the most atrocious football we've seen from a Michael Carrick team. But did people really think we were going to play good football and dominate every game for 90 minutes? Or do people live in the real world where sometimes teams have bad halves and even bad games of football? And that's all that was, in my opinion, a bad half. The reason why I feel that way is because the last 10 minutes of the first half were a dramatic improvement on the previous 40 minutes. I think anybody who's being objective can at least admit that Manchester United improved in the last 10 minutes of the first half and in the first portion of the second half before the red card. Bruno's execution in the final third improved steadily as the game went on. I thought Cunha, to be fair, had little moments here and there. He was taking a lot of shots today, which I don't mind. Generally, I have a problem with that because I feel like he's very erratic sometimes, and I feel like he doesn't really know how to be selfless and create first and be a playmaker before trying to be the hero, before trying to be the maverick. But today, specifically, I didn't mind it too much, especially after the red card, simply because Palace was sitting back and playing very deep. Also, I feel like today was one of those days where obviously we were chasing the game, but even when the game was level and even after we went up, it was one of those days where you just felt that Crystal Palace had lost the complete control. That control they had in the first half an hour, it was completely gone. Their confidence was gone. The momentum that they built in that first half was gone. And it felt like they were there for the taking. And so under those circumstances, I don't mind my wingers being a little bit erratic and a little bit courageous with some of their decisions. But, yeah, Cunha, it wasn't a great performance. Buemo as well, I don't think he had a particularly great performance, to be fair. I think only SESKO and Bruno deserve a bit of credit in our attack. And Ahmad for the cameo that he had at the end. Ahmad, for me, today's game shows me how much we missed Amad Diallo. And that's not to say that SESKO shouldn't have started, because before the game, I said that I want to see SESKO score a goal. And I felt like this was the right decision to start SESKO. I do think that people were oversimplifying the analysis when it came to United. Oh, like, just start SESKO and we'll play better. Just start SESKO. That's the solution. Today we saw it wasn't, because Cunha and Buemo are both shooters. They're not creative players. And Bruno, dependent on what type of mood he's in, most of the time, even though he's considered to be one of the best chance creators in the world, I feel like he doesn't create the type of chances that SESKO needs. At least I haven't seen that consistently enough from Bruno yet. And maybe that's because SESKO hasn't played a lot of football, which is fair. He hasn't started a lot of games for Manchester United. But I just feel like today, Bruno, in that first half particularly, the execution wasn't there. The decision-making wasn't there. He was very sloppy. And my point is that he wasn't creating chances for SESKO. And so it felt like there was a lack of balance in our team. Because our number 10's not creating, our wingers are not creating, and on top of that, our wingers are playing more as inside forwards in the half spaces and not actually giving us any width. Couple that with Deleu's atrocious performance, I'm honestly starting to think that he is a social experiment. He was created in a lab somewhere just to rage bait Man United fans and just see how far we can actually go in terms of our anger. My word, he was atrocious, right? Coupled with Deleu's horrible performance, I just think there wasn't really any evidence to suggest that, SESKO starting is the solution. It's, this should be our front three going forward, because I feel like there's still a case for Ahmad to start games in this Man United team, especially if we're going to be playing SESKO, who I feel like needs service. I don't think SESKO's the type of player who drops deep, who links up the play. He's obviously not the most mobile of players, and that's not to say that he's slow. I'm talking more about agility. I'm talking more about being able to operate in tight spaces. I'm talking more about his technical ability beyond just the shooting and being a box striker. And so the issue when you have someone like that is you need creative players around them to essentially put the ball on a platter so that they can score. If we don't have that, SESKO is very useless in my opinion. It's kind of like having Haaland in a team that isn't geared towards creating chances for him. And so for that reason, I feel like Amad Diallo needs to start. Now, I know that Amad Diallo hasn't played well, generally speaking. Even before Michael Carrick, to be fair, he's been poor for a while. He hasn't really been the same since that injury. But his skill set, for me, on the ball, is too valuable for him to be on the bench, especially if we're going to be playing SESKO. Coupled with the work he does defensively, that's another thing I noticed today in the first half, is that Manchester United were just awful defensively. Our pressing shape was off. I don't know if we were pressing, if we were sitting back, if we were playing in a mid-block. It just felt like this weird sort of half in, half out approach where Bruno would press sometimes, SESKO would press sometimes, but they would never really press together. And even when they did, one was always lacking behind. There were moments where I felt like we could have really suffocated Palace and shrunk the space and time they had on the ball, but we just chose not to. And it looked like Crystal Palace were the team that played one game a week. They looked sharper, which I know is ironic because usually you get sharper by playing more games, but they also look fresh, right? If I had to take a guess at which team is playing 2 games a week based on that first half an hour alone, I would have said it's Crystal Palace because they looked fresh. They looked more up for it. It looked like Manchester United players were just off it. You'd think the whole team was I don't know. I don't know what the right word is or what the right analogy is to describe how lethargic Manchester United's performance was in the first half, but I think you get the picture. The second half and the last 10 minutes of the first half were a complete contrast to that though, and I don't even want to just give props to Michael Carrick. I think the players deserve a lot of credit as well. The reason why I do want to give props to Michael Carrick is because the mentality in this team has changed. Under the previous manager, we don't win this game, even after the red card. We've seen us draw games to teams with 10 men under the previous manager. And that's not to say that it was all on the manager. Obviously, the players have to take some responsibility for that as well, which is exactly why I want to praise the players today, because they have changed. The mentality seems to be better. Harry Maguire seems to be better overall. Now, he's not getting faster, he's not getting stronger, but you can see the experience and the value that he brings to the team as an experienced player. As a 5th or 4th choice centre-back, honestly, I would give Harry Maguire a contract extension, especially if he's willing to reduce his wages. It makes so much sense to me. I think this guy is so professional, and I think his leadership and his value, I can't believe I'm saying this, by the way, because there was a time when I didn't rate Maguire at all, but his leadership and his value, what he brings to the team is so important. Coupled with a young Lenny Euro, a young Aiden Heaven, as we saw today when he made the mistake and he lost his runner, they need experience. They need leadership. Kobe Mainu needs leaders around him. So, I don't know, man. With Casemiro leaving and everything that's going on at Manchester United, the big shift and the big change that we are going through as a football club under the new regime, the new approach to recruitment, I think we need a bit of stability. And Harry Maguire, to me, deserves so much credit, especially when you've got the 2 clowns playing in the fullback position today. To be fair, Luke Shaw's not a clown. He's been good recently, but I'm mad at him today for getting injured because it's just like, again with this shit, after you've been fit for so long. And then you've got Delo, who, like I said, I feel like he was designed in a lab. He's a social experiment to just anger Manchester United fans. That's his purpose on this earth, evidently. You know? We need Harry Maguire. In a world of chaos and in a world that lacks stability that at Manchester United right now, we need players like him. Anyways, let me know what you think of the game if you did make it this far in the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave a like. And, of course, subscribe. Peace!